Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. This is a quote from possibly the greatest thinker, leader, and martial artist of our time, Master Oogway. Yeah, it's the tortoise from Kung Fu Panda. And although he may not be real, his quote still strikes at the heart of one of the greatest problems amongst our students today. How do we use our gift, which is our time? That's the question which I will be trying to answer today. My name's Owen. I'm a high schooler, and I think a lot of you will be able to relate to me when I say it's pretty hard to spend our time in a way that balances both enjoying our lives and fulfilling the responsibilities of work and/or school. I think it can be especially tough on students because while our schedules are already packed with extracurriculars and activities, we still feel the need to do more and more just because of the competitive environment that we're in. I first realized that this was the case for myself a few months back when my schedule was at its busiest. That morning, I had woken up at around 5 a.m. to go to cross-country practice, after which I was in school until about 3:30 p.m. And after that, I went to work at Kumon, where I tutored, until about 7 p.m. It was 7:30 that evening, and I was in the car with my dad, when he said to me quite suddenly and simply that life was too short and time too limited to waste either on doing things that you really just don't want to do. And that was when I realized that most of the things that I was doing, I was only doing because I thought they might look good on a college resume or to my parents, but not because I actually enjoyed them. And the more I talked about this with my peers, the more I realized that this wasn't just my problem. And that left me with the question, well, how do I spend my time in a way that balances both what I want to do and what I have to do? Now look, it's no revelation that students nowadays have a lot of opportunities at their disposal, from in-school clubs and athletics to extracurriculars and activities. There's really no shortage of stuff to do. But combine this with an increasingly competitive college admissions environment where it feels like you have to be the president of every single club, start a foundation, and find the cure to cancer just to be able to get into a school that you like. It's really no wonder that sometimes students can feel like they need to sign up for every single opportunity that they can get their hands on. The problem with this is that oftentimes we don't really care about the things that we haphazardly throw onto our schedule. And what ends up happening is we just waste a bunch of our time on things that we're not passionate about. I mean, I remember a time when I took up every single club and activity that was offered to me. I was running from place to place every single day, trying to do everything, but really enjoying nothing. A problem that could have been solved had I been a little more intentional with how I use my time. Something that I did learn through this, though, was that now, if I'm ever unsure about whether or not to sign up for something, I'll ask myself how I'd feel about it if I had to do it right the next day, in combination with everything else I have going on. This really helps put things into perspective, and if I still feel good about it, then I'll go ahead and do it. But if I start to hesitate, then I'll rethink what I want to spend my time on. I think this may be able to help you, and actually ties into my next point, which is to do the activities that you enjoy. See, when I was in 7th grade, I first started playing the guitar. Prior to this, I had minimal musical experience, and needless to say, I was no Jimi Hendrix. However, something that I did have was an enthusiasm for learning the instrument. And in class, I opted to play harder pieces. And outside of class, I learned new songs. And just this year, I got the opportunity to play with CDS's Advanced Guitar Ensemble. Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm the best guitarist in the school or anything like that, but what I am trying to say is that oftentimes, when we truly enjoy what we're doing, we'll be more motivated to keep doing it, get better at it, and turn it into something truly noteworthy. This is so important because you're not only passionate about what you're doing, which makes you happier, but you're also able to do it at a very high level, which makes a skill that you could use for the rest of your life. Find those activities for you, whether they be dance, singing, theater, or whatever. Those are what will keep you afloat when everything else seems to be sinking. And lastly, don't waste your time. I know, we're all trying to find the balance, and it's never easy. For example, I'll feel guilty about working because really, I could be spending time with my family, but then I'll feel guilty about taking time off because really, I could be working on that essay that's due in a few days. Like I said, not easy. But I noticed that the best that I could do was to focus on one thing at a time. It's like they say, work hard, play hard. When I'm working hard at something that I want, I'll try to give it my all and not do it halfway. But when I'm winding down and spending time with my loved ones, I'll try to give that my all as well and not think about work or school. Because I noticed that when I split my attention, I not only waste my time, but do a disservice to myself, my work, and my family. I guess the worst part is, I actually wrote this part of the talk while I was supposed to be watching a movie with my family. But that's the reality of it. It sounds nice to be able to perfectly divide your time between work and play, but that's just not really how life works. What I'm trying to say is that oftentimes, it's better to focus your attention on one thing at a time. Life is short, and when you look back on it, you don't want to regret that you weren't paying attention to the best parts. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this, it's not to throw your time at things because you feel like other things or other people are pressuring you to do them. Time is too valuable a resource to let it slip between your fingers and be consumed by your anxiety. In the theme of balance, I'll close the way I started, with a quote. Not from an animated tortoise this time, but from an author, Cheryl Richardson. Time is a gift that most of us take for granted. We get so caught up in the busyness of our daily lives that we rarely stop and take a serious look at how we're spending this gift. Thank you.